Joining us now is immigration lawyer Lizette Sierra. Lizette, thank you for joining us again to talk about this such a crucial topic here all across South Florida. So do law-abiding grandmas like the lady we saw in this story, do they have to fear as much as so-called criminals about being deported?
Well, I think everybody has to fear the fact that they may be detained and deported at any time, but criminals are on the top of the list. Those are the individuals that are being actively sought out. However, although she's been here for 30 years, she could face detention, may have to ask for some type of bond to be released, show her nexus to the community, which she has plenty of it, but that's still a horrible situation to be in and to have to go through, especially after having lived here for 30 years.
And you heard the real fear. I think a lot of immigrants would fear that if I do go forward and try to follow the right steps, I could get whisked away. So is there a real risk there?
Well, there is, but I believe that if they do the alien registration and they have that on their person, the thought there is that individuals who are following those rules will be provided an opportunity to either depart voluntarily on their own if they have an order of removal, or they go to immigration court. They'll be facing removal proceedings, and she would have an opportunity. She's been here for 30 years. I don't know the ages of her children, but she has children, grandchildren. Maybe she's eligible for cancellation of removal. Maybe her son is going to be 21 years old soon. Maybe he can petition for her. There are waivers that can be filed. They're long, they're lengthy processes, but they are available, and we can keep people in the country while we are doing these applications.
You guys are busy right now, aren't you?
Very much so, yes,
yeah,
sir.
I can imagine. And obviously for people to hire someone with your expertise costs some money. That in and of itself could be an obstacle for many people, right, who may not have the means to hire somebody like you.
That is true, but there are many organizations, especially here in South Florida, that offer pro bono or low cost services. We as attorneys too, I do quite a bit of pro bono cases myself because, you know, I am a very active member of my community. I'm a child of immigrants, and you'll find many attorneys like that that are willing to help.
We heard her say that she's paid taxes for many, many years. Would that help her case?
That definitely helps. If she is eligible for cancellation removal, that's a relief where an individual's lived here for more than 10 years, are people of good moral character, she has not committed any crimes, never been arrested, and she may have a qualifying relative, a child or a spouse who's a resident or citizen who would suffer extreme hardship. So, paying your taxes, that's showing your good moral character, following the law up until where you can, because obviously being present and undocumented is not following the law, but she's doing everything else that she can.
Are undocumented immigrants required to pay taxes?
Well, if you don't have a Social Security, it's very difficult. But if you're able to do it, if you have a company, your company pays taxes, or if she had a Social Security at one point and she continued to use it, even though she doesn't have work authorization, and she's still paying taxes, that helps. The courts love to see that. They love to see community service. You know, extended family member, that nexus to the community is super important.
What about the backlog of cases? Even if someone does come forward now, how soon might they be able to get through the process to actually become a citizen and go through the legal pathway to citizenship?
That's super hard to speculate because we are so saturated in the immigration system. I had court about a week ago, and my next hearing is for 2028. So these folks may be sitting in court for a long time, but the good thing about that is that if they filed their form of relief, whether it be an asylum, cancellation of removal, they should be permitted to remain here while they're waiting for that case to be adjudicated, whether it's a year, whether it's 2 years, 3 years.
Gotcha. Let's go back to the situation about the criminals, and obviously you said that is a big focus. But many of the so-called criminals being rounded up, their family members, of course, say, well, he's not a criminal. Well, of course, there's the highly publicized case of the gentleman from El Salvador who was sent back there, and now that has even landed in the laps of the Supreme Court.
Right.
It almost seems like it's a case of guilty till proven innocent. Are those people getting due process, and how do they guarantee that they get due process?
Well, every case is different. That case is a little interesting because I do not know all the facts, but my understanding is that he was granted what's called withholding of removal.
Right.
Withholding of removal is not a permanent resident status. It's not something that allows you to live here forever. It's a deferral. It's stopping your deportation order. So he, in effect, had a deportation order that could be made effective at any time. The problem was that he had protection against his home country, and he was sent back to his home country. So individuals with withholding of removal don't necessarily have, you know, a green card to stay, and you know, it's difficult. But that's a case-by-case situation. I do believe that many are going to have their due process, but if you have an order of removal already, you're always going to be in danger of being deported physically.
And Lizette, we've got about a few seconds left. Students who are afraid of not speaking up, foreign students who are afraid of being deported, what about their situations? And
you know, that is also a difficult situation. Student visas are not a given either, just like a tourist visa. You know, you have when you apply for those visas, to show that you have an intent to be here temporarily, you're going to do good, you're not going to be committing crimes. And so if they are found to be doing something that's contrary to our foreign policy or our public safety, they can be revoked at any time. It's a very difficult situation, and it is unfair because you don't have necessarily due process there. You can't appeal that revocation. You got to go home, reapply, and that'll be almost,
Sure. And
impossible.
Some people would question whether or not that's just violating their free speech rights. Even though they're visitors, they still have the right to free speech.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So I say, everybody, please go seek legal advice, find an immigration attorney, something that the prior attorney said that's super important. Always have copies of your documents on you.
Even if you're going to the grocery store.
Yes. If you've been here for over 2 years, please carry that on you, because if you don't have proof of the 2-year residence here, you could be placed in that expedited removal and you don't see a judge.
Yeah. Lizette, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Appreciate your expertise. Thank you so much.